Steelers talk.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Love the Steelers.
So happy.
It's
This
the
is the
same
team
thing
that
with
I
the
get
Browns,
deemed
honestly.
to do the record prediction now.
I guess, yeah. You're
So whoever, John already did it. We already have like
true.
a TikTok clip
We already
on
did that.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
It's funny with the Steelers because they're, I guess, in a similar boat to the Browns minus the investment. Because Russell Wilson, they're hoping that he has a bounce back. You can only play a certain way, but they're not paying him anything. So I don't think expectations should be high. This is one of those teams that I looked at the schedule. They have the number one toughest schedule in the NFL according to Sharp Analytics. My ceiling for them is 9-8, and my floor is 8-9.
yeah.
You know, that's really the separator for me. I know that they're gonna win games they're not supposed to win, and I know they're gonna lose games and they're supposed to win. But this team, this team is just about their defensive identity.
Yeah.
I think their defense truly has a lot of star talent. Hayward, Watt, Alex Highsmith, Patrick Queen, Joey Porter Jr. They traded for Dante Jackson. They brought back Cam Sutton, who I think now back in Pittsburgh is going to play into his ideal role, because in Detroit, they asked him to play man-to-man against elite receivers and shadow them. That's what they wanted him to do. He never did that in Pittsburgh, so that's why he struggled in Detroit. And then, of course, Minkah Fitzpatrick puts it all together. This defense is great, but the offense with Arthur Smith, after what he did in Atlanta, I don't trust him. The receivers, outside of George Pickens and Freiermuth, they don't have nobody I trust. And their offensive line got a little bit better, but every time I want to be lower on the Steelers, they still kind of reach that baseline, 9-8. That's what they are.
Let me ask Arthur Smith. I know, we used to be pretty high on him, but then we saw how his tenure with the Falcons ended, and we kind of faded that. But was it his personnel decision? Are you laughing at my voice? Or
No.
What the hell is that?
This is lip balm.
God damn, that's big as hell.
I wasn't even
It
laughing
lasts.
at that. Just
No,
anytime someone says tenure,
He
just
looks right at me. That's why I started laughing.
Sorry.
He's racist.
But now I lost my train of thought. You fucks. Arthur Smith.
Yes, him.
His personnel decision was bad. Who he decided to put on the field was pretty bad. But his play calling and his play designs, they were pretty solid. The issue is, it's not a great pairing. You have the wrong quarterback for what Arthur Smith's strengths are. So I don't know how that's going to go. I do like the personnel on the team, of course. I say that with Pickens had a great year last year. You saw it with Mason. Absolutely not.
Oh.
But you saw it with Mason Rudolph. They were able to actually stretch the field vertically for a good amount of those games to close out the year. Were able to secure that last playoff spot. They were surprisingly good offensively, but it's all going to come down to Russ or Justin Fields. I think Russell Wilson will be the quarterback, but again, say my problem no more. I don't have no ties to Russell Wilson.
Listen, man.
So you can be honest about him.
I don't give a fuck about him, to be transparent.
Respect that.
I don't see them being bad, though. I think their defense is extremely good. As long as TJ Watt is healthy, we're going to be talking about one of the best defenses in the league. Joey Porter is one of the best corners in the game also, very early on into his career. But what are you going to do with the quarterback position? I think their floor to me is 9-8. I think their ceiling is 9-8.
And that's the problem. Pittsburgh just screams Miami Heat to me to a lesser degree. Just a team that doesn't make an insane amount of moves, has that one superstar, TJ Watt, Jimmy Butler. Of course, has another guy, but for the most part, they're always competitive. They're always going to be around. But they don't make the moves they should be making or make the proper jumps they should be making to be an extremely competitive team or compete for a championship. I think, of course, they haven't made a Super Bowl in a while. So that's why I say to a lesser degree of Miami. But same philosophy, gives me the same vibes. Just a team that's been in this division, an extremely tough division. It's kind of been hovering around the same 9-8, 10-7 stuff or whatever it is, always has been competitive, sneaks into the playoffs, is that one aggravating, annoying ass bug in your house that you can't kill, that it just keeps following around. You eating, it's there. You in the shower, it jumps in there with you, but you can't seem to kill it. And it's like, I don't know if it's the Mike Tomlin effect. He gives me Spo vibes, but Spo's, of course, the best in the league on that side, but he just gives me that tough, gritty, I'm going to get the best out of my guys. Kind of like Vrabel in a sense. But Pittsburgh, their quarterback play has not been great since Big Ben. Like, even Big Ben's last leg was better than what they've been getting, in Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. unfortunately, we can be objective. My brother in Christ, Justin Fields, was not good. He's over there in Pittsburgh.
Kick return.
Russell kick return is so nuts, but I will be rooting for him no matter what.
Well, Russell Wilson threw 26 touchdowns, had 8 interceptions.
The most fake is 26.
Clearly still good.
Most fake is
He
26
can go to
touchdowns
hell.
in NFL history. George Pickens is good. I feel like
He also got benched to end the year. He could have had better stats. Just saying.
probably could have had 30. But George Pickens had a weird year because I feel like it was times where he didn't get the ball, and then he had like a 4 or 5 stretch game of just breaking out into a stud. Pat is good. The defense is always reliant. They're a TJ Watt injury away from being the worst team in the league on that end, which is hard to say, but that's his type of impact. Pittsburgh is, like Drew mentioned, and I think Joel mentioned it too, 9-8 seems like the floor. It always seems like the ceiling too. Like it's just, they're such a weird team. They're not going to be bad. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be annoying. You know, they don't make the proper. I don't know when they're ever going to go in the direction of just trying something new, blowing it up, you know, trying something different. I know in NFL it's a lot different than the NBA. Rebuilding is a lot different, but they haven't really gone into the development of real legit young players. You know, Minka, he was already in the league when they got him. TJ was one of them. George Pickens has been that. But just getting a quarterback would change this team so much, and they just haven't been able to hit on that. So floor, I guess 9-8, ceiling 9-8. You know, this is a team that's going to be mid all year, but going to create some havoc for a lot of these other teams.
Statistically, Russ was so good last year.
Just don't move anybody.
Not a
just really
single
doesn't move
human.
anybody.
He
There's
was
still a
so
chance.
efficient. That's really what
He
it
was dinking and
was.
dunking.
He was.
But the turnovers we always got into great field possession. But he was always getting in the end zone.
Yeah, no, that 5-game win streak you guys had, where you're just getting like 4 or 5 turnovers
It was a
every
movie.
game, was
It was a
fucking
movie.
insane. The Steelers, listen, their floor is so safe because they have one of the best front fours in the game. Alex Highsmith, T.J. Watt,
Hell
Keanu Ben
yeah.
had a really solid year. You have Hayward coming back off injury as well when he's healthy. He's getting up there in age, but he's always been one of the better interior D linemen in the NFL. So the floor with that defense, that front four, and Mike Tomlin, you have to feel really safe about. This team is not going to crash out. This is not a team that's ever going to have locker room issues because they're losing. This isn't a team that's going to win 4, 5, 6 games. But it is really difficult to find a ceiling for this team. And I know what every Steelers fan is going to say because 2 of our best friends are Steelers fans. We're getting an upgrade at quarterback. We're going from Kenny Pickett, the worst starter, to Russell Wilson. It doesn't always work that way, where just because you get an upgrade at one position, even if it is quarterback, you're all of a sudden going to be this great team. I think we saw Derek Carr a few years ago go to New Orleans. We're like, this is probably an upgrade at quarterback. It might not be a huge upgrade, but it's an upgrade. They were the same team. Like, they weren't out here winning playoff games, winning the division, taking the league by storm, and I don't think that's what Steelers fans expect. But I just think since you had such bad quarterback play, unless you were going to a guaranteed top 15 Jared Goff type of dude, that's the only path I see where there's a real chance that you could win a playoff game here. You made the playoffs last year with terrible quarterback play, injured quarterback play, and some shaky play calling offensively, so I give you credit for that. But I think that just goes to show how great this defense was, how great Mike Tomlin was, and getting the most out of all of your players. I am expecting a big year from George Pickens. I think this is the year we see him really break out into the scene where he could be talked about as maybe like a top 15-ish type of receiver. Loved him out of college. And his first couple of years have kind of been up and down. But now that Deontay is gone, he's going to take over as the primary number 1 option. I think he'll see the most targets on this team. He's the most explosive option. And I think Roman Wilson, their rookie out of Michigan, is going to have a big stay in this offense too, because outside of George Pickens, they don't really have much. They have Calvin Austin there. You have Pat Freiermuth at tight end, but there's really not much in that wide receiver room that you trust.
Do we count Jalen?
Say it again?
Jalen and Najee is the receiving options.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get a ton of targets too. They'll probably be second or even third in targets behind George Pickens, and Freiermuth's been banged up as well. But yeah, this is a team that's still going to rely heavily on the run game. I don't think the offense is going to look a lot different in terms of production from quarterback than what we saw last year. It's going to be a lot of Najee. It's going to be a lot of Jalen Warren, and you got to hope George Pickens breaks out, which I think he has the talent to do. But just because you go from arguably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL to like the 25th best quarterback in the NFL, although it's an upgrade, it doesn't move me enough to take you from a team that made the playoffs last year to a team that all of a sudden can win 1 or 2 playoff games. I think this is a team that, you know, at ceiling, even still with all of their issues they have at quarterback, can be a 7 seed and get into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. But outside of that, I do not see them winning a playoff game.
They're the most boring team in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And even though it is deserved, you know, they make the playoffs and they're the underdogs, Mike Tomlin gets the most out of his rosters, it kind of does feel like a waste of a playoff spot whenever it goes to the Steelers.
We should start being able to pick our playoff.
I don't know. When TJ plays, it's not boring. I'm not bored watching the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You know what's
especially when
you know
he's
what's
on the
low key?
field.